An American Airlines flight hit unexpected turbulence on the way to RDU.
Canadians out here, and the tourism hit is apparent up and down the state.
This morning, big trouble in the skies. The airline industry taking a devastating hit.
Something is disappearing above America, and it's not just clouds. Foreign airlines like Play Airlines, Air Canada, Lufthansa, and Air France are quietly dropping one U.S. route after another. Behind this retreat is a wall of tariffs. 25% on Canada and Mexico, 20% on China, 10% on others, pushing costs so high that staying no longer makes sense. Demand is down, routes are gone, and America's skies are slowly emptying. What does this silence say about the future of U.S. influence, and who will fill the gap? The U.S., once the crown jewel of global aviation, is seeing steady exits. Iceland's Play Airlines, after years of investing in Boston, Baltimore, and New York Stewart, has shut down all U.S. operations. These weren't test routes. They were long-term bets on what used to be the world's most profitable market. Now they're gone without fuss or promise of return. Air Canada is cutting deeper. It has axed 5 major cross-border routes and pulled out of 8 U.S. regional airports, including Detroit, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, Nashville, and Tampa, critical links in the U.S.-Canada corridor. This isn't about seasonal shifts or fuel costs. It's a fundamental rethink of the U.S. as a destination. The data is clear. From January to October 2025, more than 320,000 seats vanished on U.S.-Canada flights. Not a blip, but a real retreat. Small and mid-size airports have been hit hardest. Stewart Airport, once a rising international hub for New York, has lost its last overseas route. Customs halls stand empty. The international terminal sits unused. This isn't a slump, it's the new normal. The ripple effects are everywhere. Local hotels near these airports report steep drops in bookings. Airport shops see foot traffic cut in half. Restaurants, taxis, and tour operators face declining revenue. Lost flights mean lost jobs, tax revenue, and stalled local growth. Cities spent millions upgrading terminals, betting on steady global traffic. That bet is failing. So why are airlines leaving? It's not politics or diplomacy, it's profit. Tariffs from the Trump era, 25% on Canada and Mexico, 20% on China, 10% on most others, have made operating in the U.S. more expensive. Airlines pay more for parts, maintenance, and equipment. At the same time, demand is weaker. High prices, visa delays, and a strong dollar keep travelers away. The business case has collapsed. Even state-backed carriers are pulling back. Lufthansa has said demand for U.S. routes has peaked and is shifting capacity to Asia and Europe instead. Air France is doing the same. These moves aren't symbolic, they're strategic. Airlines aren't waiting for a rebound. They're reallocating planes to markets with growing demand and more stable policies. Boardrooms, not governments, are deciding where jets fly. Even U.S. airlines are feeling the pinch. Delta has lowered its 2025 outlook because international arrivals are dropping. Outbound travel alone can't keep the system balanced. Domestic carriers can cover infrastructure costs. But without foreign partners, the load grows heavier. So America's skies are changing. Where there were once lines of foreign jets, there is now quiet. Where airports buzzed with global arrivals, terminals now echo with fewer voices. This isn't just about air travel, it's about relevance. Fewer flights mean fewer tourists, partners, investors, and diplomats. The impact is economic and geopolitical. Foreign airlines are leaving. The real question is, where are they going? And what does that mean for America's place in the world? The pull of Asia and Europe is reshaping the map. The retreat in America's skies is part of a bigger shift, and the fallout is just beginning. This isn't just a seasonal dip, it's a long-term shift. The U.S. market no longer delivers the returns it once did. Turkish Airlines, once a bridge between East and West, has turned its focus away from North America. In 2025, it launched new routes linking Europe to Jakarta, Mumbai, and Sao Paulo, fast-growing corridors powered by rising middle classes, business travel, and diaspora ties. None of these new routes touch American airports. The same is true in China. Major carriers like China Southern and China Eastern have cut flights to the U.S., dropping routes to cities like Los Angeles and Chicago while boosting links to Southeast Asia, Africa, and South America. Bangkok, Nairobi, and Lima now see more direct flights from China than many American cities do. The fallout is clear. Buffalo, Seattle, and Tampa have been hit hard as international travelers vanish and spending dries up. Hotels sit empty, airport terminals are quiet, and local shops lose foot traffic. In Buffalo, hotel occupancy has plunged since early 2025. Shops near the airport say business is down by half. Taxi rides are down a third. Seattle and Detroit show the same trend. Retail near airports has dropped over 12%. Businesses built around foreign visitors are closing. The U.S. Travel Association estimates a tourism revenue loss of $8.5 billion for 2025 alone. Cities built around global gateways feel it most. Tampa International has gates sitting unused for months, and local officials admit it could take years to recover. New York's Stewart International shows how fast things can unravel. Losing its last international route to Iceland ended its customs operations entirely. Now hotels and rental agencies nearby are cutting staff, and the local economy built around global traffic is shrinking. This is bigger than a single airline pulling out. Cities spend billions expanding airports and marketing to tourists, only to see the return vanish. Dropping an international route doesn't just cost tourists. It cuts trade, slows cultural exchange, and dims a city's global status. For mid-sized cities, this loss of exposure can stall growth for years. Domestic travel can't fill the gap. It's seasonal, price-sensitive, and doesn't bring in the same high-spending visitors. Losing international status hits harder than just dollars. Buffalo once sold itself to Canadians, Tampa to Europeans. Those campaigns are gone. Airlines feel it too. Delta and United still fly Americans out, but inbound demand is down. Lufthansa cut U.S. flights by 15% and shifted planes to India and Southeast Asia. Emirates and Qatar Airways have expanded, but not to the U.S. United is seeing government bookings shrink as budgets tighten and transatlantic traffic slows. Smaller U.S. cities are losing service entirely. Many cuts happen quietly. Airlines pull out without notice. Airport boards find out too late. There's no press release, just empty gates and lost jobs for cleaners, security, and local shops. A quieter airport means a less visible city. Conferences go elsewhere. Investors pick better connected hubs. Students choose schools with easier access. Fewer flights shrink not just economies, but identities. Why are airlines leaving? Because growth is elsewhere. Middle Eastern and Asian carriers don't see the U.S. as their main market anymore. They're adding routes in Southeast Asia, Africa, and BRICS countries. China has slowed Boeing orders, favoring local jets and belt and road partners. Emirates and Qatar are putting more capacity into Asia and Africa, not the U.S. The math just works better. New tariffs in 2025 have raised costs for U.S. routes. Taxes on parts and fuel from Canada, China, and Germany add to expenses. Visa delays and policy uncertainty make the U.S. less appealing. Meanwhile, Southeast Asia offers fewer barriers, bigger markets, and stable rules. The shift is real. Since January, Chinese carriers have cut U.S. capacity by nearly 20%. Southeast Asia is on track for a 15% rise in traffic this year. Brazil and India keep growing, fed by Gulf and Asian airlines. Routes that once led to New York or San Francisco now land in Manila, Mumbai, or Maputo. Airlines build hubs where they expect to stay. Singapore and Istanbul are expanding. Alliances are pivoting to Asia and Africa. The global flow of people is shifting. The U.S. is no longer the center. It won't be easy to fix. Airlines plan routes years ahead. Fleet buys, crew training, and new hubs are long bets. When Turkish Airlines or Emirates locks in slots in India or Brazil, they're planting flags for the future. If global carriers keep skipping the U.S., it gets harder to reclaim a spot on the world's aviation map. This isn't dramatic, it's steady and serious. If airlines don't see the U.S. as worth it, what does that say about its standing? Unless the U.S. lowers barriers, speeds up visas, and rebuilds alliances, it risks becoming a flyover zone. Ticket prices will climb, routes will keep shrinking, and cities will lose billions more. If trends hold, international traffic could drop another 20% by year's end, costing up to $10 billion. Worst case, the U.S. could lose 30% of its international traffic within a decade. Turning this around will take real action. If not, the gates will go dark, and so will the influence that came with them. This was just the beginning. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up. Digital Garage has so much more in store.